What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. Today is my first edition. This is the first time since the preseason that I'm doing one of these videos in the college football playoff New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. I don't like to do these at the beginning of the year because there's just so much ebb and flow and so much change and everything like that. Now that we're starting to find out, okay, what teams really are good contenders for the New Year's 6 bowl game slot, I thought now would be a perfect time to upload my first edition of my college football playoff and New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. We're going to start by me telling you who I think is making the college football playoff. We are going to go through the rest of the New Year's 6 games, and I'll show you an overall bracket on how I think the playoff lays out. So I'll be doing this type of video weekly now as well to go along with my top 25 and weekly predictions. By the way, my Week 7 weekly predictions come out later on today, so stay tuned for that. But as for this video, before we jump into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, really do anything to help support the channel because it does mean a lot to me, that would be appreciative, whatever you can do. So let's jump on in now to my college football playoff and New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. And of course, I just said it, we're going to start with the college football playoff field, and in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, I have the Georgia Bulldogs facing off against the Clemson Tigers. Georgia looking like a really good team right now. Yes, they have had their vulnerable times, but overall, I still don't see a way that Georgia missed out on the college football playoff as of right now. And meanwhile, Clemson is starting to find that offensive rhythm. They're really getting everything going in stride. That defense is playing well. DJ has been so much better than he has been in previous, I should say, than he was last year. And both these teams seem to be on a collision course, and that is my Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl as well. So you'll figure out who gets the number 1 seed later. But Georgia, I mean, just playing good overall football right now, and there are very few places on the schedule where they could trip up. I mean, they get Tennessee at home. You have to go on the road to play Mississippi State and Kentucky, who are going to be well battle-tested going into those weeks later in the season as well. And with Clemson, their 2 biggest challenges are done. They are behind them. They've already beat Wake Forest and NC State. All they have to worry about now is Miami is on that schedule, Notre Dame is on that schedule, and then you have the ACC title game there as well. Moving on to my next playoff matchup, it's the top 4. I know a lot of chalk, but up to this point, I really don't see another team that can slide on in here. But I have the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Alabama Crimson Tide playing in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl right now. So probably gives you a good idea of who was 1 and 2 based on what bowl games these teams are going to. But when I look at both of these 2 teams here, Ohio State's playing at such a high level right now. C.J. Stroud is the bona fide Heisman winner up to this point, or I should say bona fide Heisman favorite up to this point. No one is really close to him as of right now. That defense is so much improved from a season ago. And overall, this Buckeye team playing at just such a high level right now. There is, with Michigan and Penn State, one of those teams is going to drop a game this week when they play each other. Prediction of that is coming up in the video on later today. But, Ohio State just playing at a really good level right now. And for Alabama, I briefly considered, and I'll be blatantly honest here, I briefly considered not putting Bama in my playoff predictions. There's just something about Bama that I don't trust right now. And no, it's not them not having Bryce Young healthy and ready to go. Because when Bama has Bryce Young healthy and ready to go, this is one of the top teams in America. But even with that being the case, if Bryce Young is fully healthy, the offensive line, I still don't fully trust quite yet. The wide receivers, I think, still have a lot of work to do. So there is still room for improvement to grow for Alabama. And as much as I may not necessarily fully trust them at this point, I do not see a way that as of right now, you can keep Alabama out of the college football playoffs. So Ohio State-Bama is that second playoff semifinal. Let's jump on in now to the rest of the New Year's 6 bowl game predictions, where we start with the Capital One Orange Bowl, where I have the NC State Wolfpack and the Penn State Nittany Lions. So Penn State being an at-large team from the Big Ten, I think gets their slot in here. I think they've proven themselves. I think Penn State can finish the year 10-2, losses to Michigan and Ohio State probably is going to be that most likely scenario, although, hey, they have the talent to beat Michigan. They have the talent to beat Ohio State. I think as of right now, Penn State, not in my playoff field, but definitely deserving of a New Year's Six Bowl spot, and I have them going to the Capital One Orange Bowl, facing the NC State Wolfpack. And look, NC State is a good team this year as well. Now, I know Devin Leary's been having some injury problems lately and things like that, but they are the second best team in the ACC. Whoever comes out of that Coastal Division, maybe if North Carolina can go on a run here and finish out the season 10-2, they can get a shot at playing in the Capital One Orange Bowl, but I think it's NC State right now with Clemson making the playoff in my predictions. NC State is that second best team in the ACC, and they still got a couple big games coming up. They still got to play Syracuse. That's this week. They still got to play Wake Forest, but I mean, as of right now, NC State is that second best team in the ACC. Moving on to the Allstate Sugar Bowl, where we have two SEC teams making the college football playoff in Alabama and Georgia. Well, Tennessee has looked really good up to this point. They are a top 6 team, and you could also throw Ole Miss in here as well, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Tennessee. They've been really impressive up to this point, and I think they get the spot in the Allstate Sugar Bowl, facing what eventually right now may very well be the Big 12 champ and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I could have thrown Texas in here as well. I can see Texas winning the Big 12, but my pick to win the Big 12 right now is Oklahoma State. I think they have also been really, really impressive. That defense, yes, has taken a step back since Jim Knowles left, but they're still able to get pressure on the quarterback. And Spencer Sanders and that offense, even with how much they lost, or I should say with a couple weapons that they lost, Spencer Sanders and company are still playing at a really high level. So I like what Oklahoma State is putting out on the football field. I like what Tennessee is putting out on the football field. And I still want to see more from that Tennessee defense. And they got a huge game with Alabama coming up this week. So we'll see what Tennessee's able to do there in that one. Oklahoma State's got a huge game in their own right against TCU. There's just a lot of big games this week. You'll see my weekly prediction video out later today. But both of these teams right here, I think, are deserving of a New Year's Six spot, and I think they see each other in the Allstate Sugar Bowl. And then moving on to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Moving on now to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I believe the Oregon Ducks will get this spot here. A really good team out of the Pac-12. After that thrashing to Georgia, Oregon has looked very, very impressive, and I think they're deserving of a New Year's Six spot right now. You also could put UCLA in here. Kind of gives you a hint of who I have making the Rose Bowl, doesn't it? But, I mean, you could throw Oregon here. You could throw UCLA here. I feel like it's going to be Oregon that's going to have that better overall record once it's all said and done. So I lean towards the Ducks to get that at-large spot in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And the best team in the group of 5, it was Houston in my preseason, and now you can make a case for a lot of teams. Coastal Carolina, James Madison, both teams out of the Sun Belt. You could even still point to teams like UCF and Tulane in the American, but I went with Cincinnati. They're the only ranked group of 5 team right now, but that's not the reason why I picked them. I just like the way Cincinnati is playing right now. I think Luke Fickell has that team playing exceptionally well, and I think at this moment in time, they're the winners of the American Athletic Conference, and I think at the end of the day, will be your highest ranked group of 5 champion. And so that's why I have Cincinnati in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Again, you could throw a team like Coastal Carolina, Tulane, James Madison. The group of 5 race is still very much in the air. But as of right now, I think Cincinnati is the best out of that bunch. And then, finally, the Rose Bowl. You probably could guess who's going to be here. And this has been pretty much everyone's prediction, but try to make an argument for anyone else. Unless you don't have Ohio State making the playoff, or unless you have USC making the playoff, there's really no way that Michigan and USC are not on a collision course to face in the Rose Bowl. Michigan has played really well so far this year, 6-0. They got a huge game coming up this week, though, but as of right now, so deserving of that Rose Bowl spot with Ohio State making the college football playoff. And for the USC Trojans, they're playing some really good football right now, yet it's a team that still feels like maybe they're vulnerable to a loss at some point this year. But as of right now, I mean, USC, in my opinion, is that clear-cut favorite to walk away and win the Pac-12 conference and earn their shot to get into the Rose Bowl. So that is what I have for the Rose Bowl. Again, USC playing really well. Caleb Williams has a lot of weapons that he can use, and he's used them really effectively at this point. Michigan's played really good football on both sides of the ball there as well. Both teams have tests coming up this week, though, as well. So maybe could see a little change next week. But as of right now, with Ohio State making the playoff and with the playoff field that I have projected, Michigan and USC seem to be on a collision course to face in the Rose Bowl. But there you go. There is my group of 5 predictions, and I will now, or not my group of 5, I'm so sorry. My college football playoff and New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. Here is my playoff bracket as it currently stands. I got Georgia at 1, Ohio State at 2, Bama at 3, and Clemson at 4. Again, I like the way that, I like the way that all of these teams are playing up to this point. I like the way that Georgia is playing. I love the way that Ohio State is playing. In fact, I am even really close to loving the way Georgia's playing, although they've had a couple of vulnerable weeks here. I want to see them get back to form. I love the way that Clemson is playing, and while I'm still skeptical about Bama up to this point, there's no way that I can justifiably keep them out of the playoff realm. And I know it's a lot of chalk. It's the same 4 teams, but these are the best 4 teams in America as of right now. So let me know who you guys have making the college football playoff, and let me know your New Year's 6 bowl game predictions down in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this video. Again, later today, you will see my weekly predictions. I got 15 games on the slate for you in a huge, massive weekend, one of the biggest weekends we've ever seen in college football in recent memory coming up. So stay tuned for that. Until then, hey, I'd appreciate if you guys like, comment, subscribe, do anything you can help support the channel. It does mean a lot to me. And remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Goodbye.